I am so sorry about the noise. My cat is destroying a bag right now. Destroying it. He is safe, I promise. Hello, Bookworm family. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Danny. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on that notification bell because, hey, this is the second video in a year. So, I mean, I'm on a roll. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, please be sure to do that. It is at _dancing_bookworm. And I definitely post on there more than I post on here. Hopefully, I'm staying true to that. So, but yeah, as promised in my last video, if you guys watched that, I just talked about a little bit about why I hadn't posted in a year, and one of the reasons was I hadn't read. I had not read anything since my mom passed away in February of 2021 to April of 2022, with the exception of one graphic novel I read, and that graphic novel was Joe. Oh my gosh, it's on my shelf. I should have grabbed it, but I don't want to get up and walk over there and get it right now. But yeah, it was called Joe. It was an adaptation of Little Women, a graphic novel. Oh gosh, I cannot remember who wrote it, but it is on my Instagram. So if you guys want to go check that out, if you guys are really interested. But it's basically about Joe as a middle schooler in the modern world. If you guys know Little Women, Joe's the main character of Little Women. And she's, you know, discovering life and all that jazz as a middle schooler in the modern world with her three sisters, Amy, Beth, and Meg. So, yeah, I did read that, and I mainly read that last year because I did a Little Women dance. So it was a dance based off of the book Little Women, and I did that. I didn't dance it, I choreographed it, and I had 4 of my junior level dancers who were about 9 and 10 at the time, do a dance based off of Little Women, and it was a very beautiful dance. It won the competitions that we went to. Well, I got second at one and first at another. It was a gorgeous dance, and I'm really proud of them, and I'm very proud of myself for how I put it together. But that is the reason I read that graphic novel, was I was just all things Little Women last year. So, and Little Women has always been one of my favorite books, so reading an adaptation of it in the modern world was really cool. So I did read that last year, but other than that one graphic novel that I read in one sitting, because it was pretty short, have not read anything from that February of 2021 to April of 2022. And the reason of that was just my mom passed away, and silence was really bothering me. And then I ended up getting hospitalized, and all I wanted to do was read. So I am out of the hospital, obviously. I was there for 11 days, which I talk about in my last video. I will not be discussing why I was in the hospital, as it's personal, private business that I don't think really belongs to anyone but me. But the good thing that came out of it was I did find my passion for reading and writing again. So not only have I been reading, but I've been also writing, and I've been working on a novel over the last couple weeks, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so basically, oh, I just took my hat off, which means you guys can see how crazy my hair is. But yeah, so basically, I have read 13 books since that time. I've actually read 14, I think. Yeah, I've read 14 if I count the one that I read in April. So yeah, so I've actually read 14 books in that time, and I'm really, really happy about it because it just feels like I'm getting a little bit of my old self back, which, you know, a lot of stuff happened over the last year, and I do feel like I lost little elements of myself that I really loved, and I just couldn't find the passion for them again. And I did find the passion for reading again, which I'm really happy about. And I did that through, I got a shout out where shout outs are due, Reading Rivalry on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. It's like a little book club, but you're like competing against each other. You get like 16 prompts. You have to choose 10 of the prompts. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to jump back into this. I'm going to do it. And I did. And I did the 10 prompts. And then I was like, I don't want to stop at 10. So I kept going, and you know, it's a really fun little thing if you guys want to check it out. That's Reading Rivalry on Facebook. So it's a cool little Facebook group. Anyway, so I'm just going to talk about the books that I read over. Oh, sorry, I forgot if I hit the table, I moved the camera. Woo, still back to the old vlogging. You know what? Something else that I didn't talk about in my last vlog. There's actually 2 things. I actually have 2 new tattoos. One I will just put a picture up of because it's on my ankle and I can't really get a good angle. So here it is. It's palm trees and a heart, and that was a tattoo that I got right after my mom passed away. and it's just palm trees were her favorite thing, so 2 palm trees representing her and I. And the other one I got, I will have to post a picture of this one too, I think. You can kind of see it, it's just on my forearm here, but it's my cat Chandler in a teacup, and I got that at a Flash tattoo event. That's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about the books that I've read, these books that have gotten me back into reading. So yeah, I'm gonna just do like a quick synopsis of each because I don't want the video to be too long, but I wanted you guys to see what I've been going for here, and some of them were really good, most of them were 4 and 5 star, couple of them were lower, but for the most part they were really, really good. So the first book I actually already gave back to my sister-in-law, so I don't have it, but it is the book she brought me to read in the hospital, and that was House Rules by Jodi Picoult. This is about a boy who is on the autistic spectrum, and he is accused of murder, and all the signs point to him for murder, but it's just that he has like a really obsessive like thing for forensic science, and it just kind of makes him look guilty, even though he feels like he's not guilty, and it's just like a really cool mystery. I don't super love Jodi Picoult books. I always thought they were really sappy, but this one was really cool. I do like a good mystery. I do think, did I give this one 4 or 5 stars? I don't remember. I'll just put the star ratings down below here too so you guys can see them, but either way, it was a really good read. It was a longer book, so it did take me my entire hospital stay to read, but I did really, and I mean I was reading slow because I was in the hospital and I was getting tests and stuff, so but you know, like it was a really good book. I feel like it was kind of like one of those things that I needed a good mystery to get me back into reading. But yeah, that was the book that got me back. That was the one that hook, line, and sinker, so I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars because of that. But yeah, it wasn't like my favorite book of all time, but it was the one that I needed to read. So the next book I read I actually started it in the hospital and finished it out of the hospital, but that is Hollowpox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the 3rd book in the Nevermore series, and it was actually really funny. My friend bought this for me, brought it up to the hospital for me when I was in the hospital, and I couldn't remember what happened in the 2 books before this because it had been 2020. It had been almost 2 years since I had read them. So I had to call her up and I was like, oh my gosh, can you really quick just go on Wikipedia and tell me what, because I didn't have internet. So I was like, can you just tell me what these books are about? So she went on and read the synopsis to me and let me know. But this is the 3rd installment of the Nevermore series, and the Nevermore series is about a cursed child named Morgan Crow who is destined to die on her 12th birthday, but the last night of her 11th year, she's swept off by Jupiter North to a land called Nevermore, where she must compete in these trials to see if she will be accepted into the Wonder Society, and if she's not, she has to go back to living her cursed life where she will probably be dead. So this is the 3rd book in it, and in this book there is an outbreak of a disease, and it's affecting all the magical animals in Nevermore, and Morgan has to try to help solve why this disease is affecting the wondrous animals. Or the Wunimals. They're not really animals. They're like talking animals. Oh my gosh, I feel like if you guys read this book like calling them animals, I feel like I just committed a crime by calling them animals. Anyways, but the Wunimals, okay? 5 stars. 5 stars. This whole series is 5 stars, but it is a chunky book for a middle grade book. But man, I can just get into these. They just take me to that different world like Harry Potter used to when I was a kid. But bonus is Jessica Townsend's not transphobic like J.K. Rowling is. So, you know, like bonus. Jessica Townsend's pretty cool. Not that I know her personally, but you know. But yeah, the book was really, really good. 5 stars, 5 stars for sure. The next one I read, I don't have a physical copy of. I read it as an ebook, and it was a graphic novel called Huck, and it was by Mark Miller. I can't remember who did the illustration, but basically it is about a guy who has like my cat is making noise, sorry, super awesome superpowers, and he is like really like strong, and he helps out one person a day, like he commits one good deed a day, performs, I guess like commit is also the right word, but that almost sounds like a crime, but performs one good deed a day, and it usually involves like saving someone or something like that, and he thinks he has finally found like where he's come from, so he goes on an adventure to find out where he's come from. But yeah, that was just like a quick graphic novel I read in one sitting. The next book that I read was The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgins Burnett. And it is just the classic The Secret Garden about a girl named Mary who is a spoiled little rich girl from India. Her family gets cholera. Cholera? Is that the right word? Yeah. Cholera? Yeah. Because colic is what babies get. So cholera. Yeah, they get cholera. And she is sent to go live with her estranged uncle in I think England, and there is like a whole bunch of gardens where she's sent to, but there's one garden that's locked up, and she really wants to get into it and make it her secret garden. She also thinks that she's hearing like a child cry in the night, and the whole house is just kind of like mysterious, and she wants to find out more, so she kind of goes on a little adventure by herself and with a companion named Dickon, who is the brother of one of the maids that works at this estate. And yeah, she gets herself into quite a bit of trouble, but it's really cute. I gave it 5 stars. It was like one of those that was like almost up there with Little Women for me as far as classics go, because I really liked her spunk. I always love a classic where the female lead has spunk. I am still 100% a feminist, and I just love those characters. So yeah. The next book I read is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. And this is about a boy who is sent to a mental hospital after he threatened, now my cat is playing with a cabinet if you're wondering, but this is about a boy who is sent to a mental hospital after he considers killing himself, and there he meets a colorful group of characters as he's trying to overcome this anxiety and depression that's kind of become his whole life. This book is not the first time I've read it. This was not the first time I read this book, is how I meant to word that. I've read this book before, and it is a 5-star read for me. It is just like, I always read this right when I need it kind of thing. It's just one of those books that like I need to hear sometimes, like when I'm going through a tough time. Like it's just one of those things that it's like, it really shows you like a little glimpse into the fact that everyone has something going on and you're really not alone, which I love about this book. It always seems like everybody's life is so together to him, and he goes to this place where people have, you know, so many unique and different problems, but through those unique and different problems, they're each unique and different people that he learns to love. And I think for me, seeing how he can love all these secondary characters no matter what their issues are just shows me that anyone can be loved, including myself. So this is like something that I need to hear, like every once in a while I just really need to hear like you are loved by someone, and this book does that. Like it shows that. So that one's always a 5-star for me. I think it's the 3rd time I've read it, honestly. I think I've read it 3 times now. But this time I happened to listen to it on audiobook, and it just, something about the audiobook was just even more like what I needed to hear at the right time. So the next book I read after that was The Outsiders by Essie Hinton. I have avoided reading this book again since 8th grade. I read this book in 8th grade for the very first time. This is about Pony Boy, who it takes place in the 1960s, and there's 2 gangs. There's the Greasers and the Socias. The Greasers are kind of like what you would see in the movie Grease, like they wear the leather jackets, the greased back hair. The Socias are the preppy boys who wear like the tied sweaters around their shoulders and all that stuff, and they have fancy cars and blah blah blah. But basically what happens is Pony Boy gets caught up in a crime and has to kind of escape from this gang that he loves so much with another one of his gang members to go into hiding because of this crime. And it's really just like a coming of age story, and I have read this in 8th grade. My cat is driving me nuts with this cupboard, but he is so happy that I don't want to take him out of the cupboard. Like, he's just like, oh, peekaboo, I see you, I'm coming back. Okay, sorry, I'm obsessed with my cat, if you can't tell. But it's just one of those coming of age stories. And I read it when I was in 8th grade. And it was like the first book that opened me up to literature. Like it was like one of the first books that I read that wasn't like little kid. You know, it talks about mature topics in it. And, you know, when you're in 8th grade, it's kind of like that teeter-totter from like, you go from reading like everything on a waffle to The Outsiders the next week, you know, like they're really trying to push you into that like high school, like what you're going to read in high school kind of thing. So, you know, I always didn't feel challenged by the books that I read when I was in middle school and early high school. Like I always felt like they were very babyish and that they were kind of like talking down to me. And then we got to The Outsiders and I was like, wow. And one of the reasons I went wow is Essie Hinton wrote this when she was 16 and it was my dream to be an author in my teens. Like I wanted that so bad. Did not happen, sadly, because I never commit to a project. Like I will start 8 million books and then think of another one and start that one and never finish one. But I always wanted to be an author in my teens, and she had done it, and I was so amazed by that. So it was just like one of those things that, you know, rereading it, I was like, what if I reread it and I don't love it? What if I reread it and I hate it? And the thing is, in my heart, this has been a 5-star book my whole life. I reread it. It's a 4-star. But I mean, that's still really good. And it's a 4-star just because, like, you can tell it's written by a 16-year-old at some points. Like, some points it's just, like, randomly like, oh, by the way, I'm a track star. And I'm like, oh, okay, 20 pages at the end. Thanks for sharing that information with me. Like, like there are some parts where I'm like, okay, definitely a 16-year-old wrote this. And that's what made it a 4-star. But the nostalgia, the story, the passion, the compassion, the characters, it's all 5-star. Just there were some parts that I was like, okay, it's a 4-star, but for the most part, I just adore that book. I just do. And it's just one of those things that if you don't have to read that when you're in 8th grade, I'm sorry. You should just pick it up and read it yourself because it's just, it's prime. The next one I read was Anna Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. Another classic that I would say is right up there with my Little Women obsession, just from the fiery, feisty, main character, who is a girl named Anne, and she is an orphan, and she is adopted by people who wanted a boy. And when she shows up, they're very surprised that they have a girl, not a boy. And she is very dramatic and exuberant and just a little extra, and they end up falling in love with her charm and deciding to keep her. And it's just the story of her life from age 10 and up to just this ridiculous kid who just gets into so much trouble, this preteen to teenager who's she just doesn't know what she's doing all the time, and she's making mistakes, but she does it with a smile, and she does it with this charm, and it's just a very cute book. It's just very cute and adorable. And I do believe I gave this one 5 stars. May have given it 4 stars, but I think I gave it 5 stars. But it's just, it really just, it touched me. It touched me. I liked that one a lot. So yeah, my classics are always the empowering female, feminine lead character. Not feminine really, I don't know why I said feminine, but the empowered female lead character is always the classics that I enjoy. So the next book I read was All American Boys, and this is by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Kiley, sorry. And this is written in multiple POV, and it's a very unique book. So one of the perspectives is written by a Black boy who is a victim of police violence due to his race, and he is thought, I'm trying not to give too much away, but he's thought to have been shoplifting, and he's not shoplifting. So he's thought to have been shoplifting, and the police commits this horrible act of violence against him. And then the other POV is a white boy who knows this boy vaguely, they're acquaintances, but he's best friends with the brother of the cop who committed the crime. So it's kind of this back and forth of right and wrong and what side of history you want to be on. And it was very it's one of those books. I actually only gave this book 3 stars, and people are going to come at me for that, I know, but the reason I gave it 3 stars is my cat is stuck in a garbage can. Please hold. Editing Danny here, so I realized that my cat distracted me from actually saying why the book was 3 stars. So I did only give the book 3 stars because I just wasn't in the mood for something heavy, and the multiple POV was like really creative and I really appreciated that, and I think it was a really good like eye opener. But I just also think that it got a little confusing because I was listening to it on audiobook. So eventually in the future when I'm ready for a heavy book again, I'll pick it up and read it like the physical copy, but I just wasn't a huge fan of the audiobook. The next book I read is Love and Olives by Jenna Evans Welch. I do think I gave this a 5-star. Gosh, I can't remember any of my ratings. I should have written it down before I did this video. But this was the third in the Love and series, which isn't really a series. They're just kind of like companion novels. But this specific one is about Olive, who goes by Liv, and she goes to Greece to meet up with her estranged father, and her mom kind of sends her there to get her away from her boyfriend because she doesn't really like her boyfriend. So she sends her there to kind of meet up with her estranged father, and when she gets there she finds out that her father's working on a documentary for National Geographic and he wants her to be a part of it about the lost city of Atlantis. She's very torn about this because the lost city of Atlantis is kind of the reason she believes her father left her mom. Is that he wanted to go find this lost city. So this takes place in Greece. Beautiful read. I actually listened to it on audiobook because it's kind of chunky, and even though I'm into reading again, chunky books are still kind of scaring me, but I absolutely loved the audiobook. Just kind of like took me to Greece, and I think I rated it higher because of the audiobook. Like the audiobook really took me into it. The storyline, the plot, it's cutesy, it's fun, it's adorable. You know, is it anything like amazing? No, but just the setting sold this book for me. And I would recommend this book to anyone who just like has that little wanderlust in them that wants to like go explore but is afraid to leave their house, because that's me. So this is 100% like if you just need like a little summer read that'll kind of like take you out of where you are, this is the one, because the plot is cute, the characters are cute. Are they like God's gift to books? No, but they're adorable and they're fun and it's just fun. It's a fun read, and sometimes fun reads are what you need. So is this going to be a 5-star for everyone? No. Is it high up there for me? Yes, because I needed fun at the time and I needed to get out of the country, so to speak. So this is very cute. So if you need a cute summer relaxing read, this is the one. So the next book I read was To Night Owl from Dogfish. This is by Holly Goldberg, Sloan, and Meg Wolitzer. This is, again, like another multiple POV. It is actually written in emails and text messages. So it was a very quick read. Very cute. It's about 2 girls who both have single gay dads, and their dads end up meeting and they start dating, and they want the girls to get to know each other, so they send them off to this camp, and the girls do not want to get to know each other. They do not want their dads to be in love, so they kind of are doing like a little reverse Parent Trap where they're trying to break them up, and then they end up getting to be really good friends and they want their parents to stay together. So kind of like a cute little modern take on Parent Trap. It was very cute. I think I gave it 3 stars. Again, a super easy read. You know, like some of the pages are just like half pages. Very, very fun. I really, really enjoyed this book, and it was just, you know, it wasn't a 5-star to me. It wasn't like amazing, but again, just another one of those cute summery reads that if you just need a quick summer read to kind of put you in a good mood, I would recommend this one. The next one I read was Orphan Island by Laurel Snyder, and this was a audiobook. I listened to this on audiobook. This is about kids who are living on an island with no adult supervision. They're sent there when they're like toddler age and then shipped off when they're like teenish, like preteenish. They don't really give ages, and they're kind of just living there by themselves. And every year a boat drops off a new toddler and takes away the oldest kid. And then the oldest kid is in charge of like raising this toddler, and when the boat comes again, it's their time to leave. So it takes place, I believe her name is Ginny. I'm trying to think. I think her name's Ginny, and she becomes the oldest. The oldest kid leaves, and she becomes the oldest, and she has to take care of this like toddler and teach this toddler all the things they need to know before the boat comes. But she's really dreading the day the boat comes. She doesn't want to leave. She doesn't want to leave the island. She's very comfortable there, and she's got her friends there and her family. Like, she's made this family of all these people. Everybody has their job. Everything has its place, and she doesn't want to go to something that she doesn't know where it leads. The boat, and they have no idea where the boat goes, and she doesn't want to go. So it was a good read. I would say it's very similar to like The Giver, where it leaves you on like a huge unanswered plane of things. But I did give it a pretty high rating because, again, I'm just really in the mood for like these summer island, summer camp, summer vibes, like things. So it did take place on an island, and The Giver is one of my favorite books, and it did remind me of like a modern take on that. So I did give it a pretty high rating just because of that reason, but it left me with so many unanswered questions, man. I was just like, blah. I like looked up, I was like, is there a series? And so far there is not. She said there may be a prequel. I was like, I don't need the prequel. I need answers. I need answers now. So yeah, so it was like one of those things where I was like, man. But yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was a good audiobook too because it was very islandy. So like, you know, I like a good audiobook that'll take me places. The next book I read is Look Both Ways by Jason Reynolds. Listen, guys, this is going to be one of those ones that I get hate for again. And the thing is, I love Jason Reynolds' books. The Track series is phenomenal. I could read that all day long. Long Way Down, I absolutely adore it. The two that I read this month were just not my favorite. Like, All American Boys was good. I wouldn't say it's like on my top of Jason Reynolds' books, but it was a very good one. But I don't get the hype of this one. So Look Both Ways, it's a middle grade. It's 10 different kids on 10 different blocks on their way home from school. There's just no plot. It's just these short stories. And yeah, you get, like, there's some cool elements to it. But I did give it a 1-star rating, and I hate that because I do love his book so much. And I know there's a huge fan base for this book. Like, it is 5 stars all over the place whenever I see people rate it. I just didn't love it. I didn't get it. And maybe it's because I listened to it as an audiobook. Maybe if I had read it, I would have found like more connections and stuff. And I did. What is my cat eating? Chandler, what are you eating? Ugh, my cat. He is trouble, man. But I do like, I do love his books. I just don't, this one just didn't do it for me. Like, at least All American Boys, I can personally say I really enjoyed. Like, I would like read it again. This one I would not read again. But again, maybe it's just because I listened to it on audiobook. Maybe I need to read the physical copy. Like, I got that they all came from the same middle school, and I got that they were all kind of like in the same place, but so many different things were happening. Like, I got like the moral of it, but I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm so sorry. I know people really like that book. I didn't. I'm sorry. I don't need to apologize for my opinions, but I am. I'm sorry. Yeah, maybe I'll need to read that again. Like, read the physical copy. I don't know. So the next book I read was Out of My Heart by Sharon M. Draper. Sharon M. Draper? Or is it just Sharon Draper? Why do I feel like it's Sharon M.? I don't know. But it's Sharon Draper or Sharon M. Draper. So this was actually a surprise to me. This is the second book to Out of My Mind. So Out of My Mind has been one of my favorite books since I was in high school. I think I read it my senior year of high school. A family friend gave it to me. And it's about a girl who has CP and she's unable to speak verbally. So she gets some equipment called a Medi-Talker, and people finally realize how smart she is. Like, she is very intelligent. She's a super fast thinker. And this is actually a sequel to it, which I was so excited about. I didn't know this existed. It came out in 2021. And it's about her. She wants to go to summer camp, so she finds a camp for kids with special needs, and she goes there, and she's really nervous. There's like horseback riding and swimming and all these things she's never done before, but it's kind of just like her getting to experience like friendships and, you know, being with people who understand her and understand the things that she's going through. I really liked this book. I do think I gave it a 4-star rating, and the reason I didn't give it 5 stars, because Out of My Mind, again, is one of my favorite books, but the reason I didn't give it 5 stars was some of the like songs that they were talking about in it and stuff like that wasn't really like the first book came out so long ago that I was like, okay, even if it's like something that could keep up with the times, like putting songs in and stuff, I was like, when did that song come out? Because I don't think it came out when she would have been at camp. And there was like other stuff that I was just like, oh, that's not canon. Like, it's hard when you read a book and then someone writes the sequel to it multiple years later, because you're like, ooh, was that actually what was happening in that time period or not? Because this is supposed to take place 1 year after the first book, but it wasn't written until like over 10 years later. So yeah, it was a tough one for me just for that, but I did really love the book, and I do love the character of Melody, and the character was very true to who she was in the first book. And I really love there was Down syndrome rep in it, which you guys know my nephew has Down syndrome, so anything with Down syndrome rep, I'm a huge fan of. I absolutely love it. So and then the last book that I've read for this month so far, there's still about a week and a half? Yeah. There's exactly a week. Exactly a week left in the month. And this upcoming weekend is Memorial Weekend, so I probably will read because I have 4 days off. But the last book that I've read so far is 910, and that's by Nora R. Baskin, and it's a September 11th story, and it takes place over 4 different kids' point of views. So there is one kid who is like, he's kind of like, he doesn't have like a great dad, and his mom's dead, and like he lives with his grandma, and he decides to skip school one day, and he meets a fireman who ends up, you know, and then it's 9/11 and the fireman's in New York City, so you kind of have that storyline. There's another one who is a girl who just moved to LA, and she's trying to make friends and stuff, but the very first day of school, her mom's actually at a business meeting in New York City, and she's like in LA, so like she's like going through like her mom not being there. So it really takes place more over September 9th and September 10th. And then like the big build up to September 11th is like the very ending, and then it goes like 1 year, like what happened a year later with each of their stories. So most of it takes place over September 9th and September 10th though. But then the other girl is, what did you destroy over there? My cat like destroyed a paper bag. But another girl is Muslim, and so a lot of you guys who watch my channel are on the younger side, but I do remember I was 9 when 9/11 happened, and I remember my brother is very dark skinned, and when I was like 9 years old, he had like a really scruffy beard, and he did look like he may be Arab descent. And he was constantly like, every time we traveled would like get stopped, people were very rude to him and stuff like that. So my brother is not of any Middle East descent or anything like that. He is he's like part Native American. I don't know. He's technically my half brother, but we don't do that. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. You know, like when you have a half brother, like you don't really like say like, oh, he's my half brother, like kind of thing. But yeah, like he's just got like dark skin and stuff like that. But there was a lot of hate. So Muslim and Arabic are not the same thing at all. But like if you follow like the Muslim religion and you wore like anybody who wore a hijab, people were very mean to them. There was a lot of like hate crimes happening because of it. So this girl does wear a hijab, and it's kind of like her viewpoint of what happened, with how people treat her before and how people treat her after. And then the fourth point of view was, why am I blanking on this? Oh, it's a boy whose father had passed away, and he actually lives in Pennsylvania, which a lot of people, I don't know why, like I don't know if it's just like not taught in schools because it's like more recent, like the teachers remember it or whatever, but I just know like a lot of kids don't realize that there was another plane that went down. Like it wasn't just the 2 planes that hit the Twin Towers, there's also a plane that went down in Pennsylvania. So he was like in Pennsylvania when that happened. So it was a really cool book. I really like 9/11 stories. I would say like that, like the 9/11 stories are close to my heart because I'm from New York, not that I'm from New York City, I'm from upstate, but you know, like the state of New York was very impacted by 9/11 in general, but also that was like some of my first memories. Like I was 9, like not like my first memories, but like it was like I have very vivid memories of that day and the things that happened and the things that were said, and you know, so I think like I really like 9/11 stories because I'm like, yes, I understand. Like I feel what they were going through kind of thing. Even if it wasn't like a direct impact in my life. I did live in New York State and the whole state was very impacted. So, yeah, so those are the books that I've read so far. Like I said, there's still a week left. I'm currently working through The Shape of Thunder by Jasmine Warga. But this is about one girl who sister died in a school shooting and one girl whose brother was the school shooter. And they used to be best friends, but now they're not because of that incident. I'm also, like I said, working through The Swiss Family Robinson, which, dear God, is a work in progress because, man, 1812 and the way people talk to women was it's just, there's parts in it that I'm just like, ugh. So yeah, that one's not my favorite right now. And then I'm also getting tomorrow, I think it's getting delivered. I ordered, it is the novelized version of Jagged Little Pill. Oh, I think my cat knocked my camera over, but it's the novelized version of Jagged Little Pill, which is a Broadway musical based on Alanis Morissette's music, which I really like Alanis Morissette. So I'm hoping to read those 3 before the end of the month. So we'll see if I actually do that, but those will be talked about in a different video. Chandler, you want to say hi? Why you say hi, Chandler? Say hi. Oh, hi, thank you. Okay, but yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. But yeah, those are the books that I've read so far this month, and books kind of got me back on track with everything that's been going on in my life. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!